Today, we're going to learn about the folder structure and how files are organized and folders are organized on Windows and on Mac. There's a lot of similarities, but when you are navigating the file structure at the command line, so when I have a command prompt open, it opens by default to my home directory, which for me is in the C drive. And then you're always going to, on Windows, you'll always see the letter of the drive that you're currently in, a colon, forward slash, this is a folder, a forward slash, this is a folder. And I know it's a folder because it doesn't have a file extension. And then there's this caret or greater than sign, and then it's waiting for me to type something. So if I move to a different folder, like documents, and I know that that folder exists in my current directory where I already am, then it updates and it tells me now I'm at C users bsimp documents. So there's always a list of the folder structure at the prompt where you type commands. And so for this computer, if we look at something that's a little more visible, if you open an Explorer on Windows, you click on the folder over here on your taskbar. Oh wait, you can't see that. Hold on. Let me move this so you can see it. If you click on the folder over here on your taskbar, that's called an Explorer window. And it lets you navigate the file structure and folders in your computer. So right now, if I click on C drive, for some reason they being all personal computers, all PCs, all Windows computers, use C as the default letter to stand for your hard drive. If your computer has more than one hard drive, it's going to have more than one letter available. Like if you have two hard drives, it's probably going to be C and then D. Back in the old days, A and B were actually used for things like removable disks and other types of storage that are much less common now. So why is it C? Because more commonly you would be dealing with A and B a bunch, and they came before C. So anyway, your C drive, and you can get to it by going over to the side, and then you can see a bunch of folders. Your folders might look different from my folders, but there's some that will always exist, like program files and program files x86. If you're running Windows, those folders will be there. And if you've installed and uninstalled programs a lot of times, this is where the files for the programs that exist on your computer are, like Internet Explorer. Here are the files for Internet Explorer. This is actually the program, Internet Explorer, and where it lives on the computer. If I double click that, I can open Internet Explorer. So anything else that you ever click on, no, God, no, I don't want to set up Internet Explorer. What a mistake. Okay. Anytime you click on a program somewhere else, like in a start menu or on your desktop, it's actually just a shortcut pointing to a program that lives in one of these folders. So if you can get used to thinking about storing files in folders on the C drive, then navigating in the command prompt will be less painful. So right now, my directory where I currently have access to is C users bsimp documents. So let's go look at that. And you wouldn't do, if you get used to working with the command prompt, you're not going to go open an Explorer and then look at things. Eventually, when you learn enough of the commands, you can do most of your work from the command prompt. And that's how programmers in the real world generally do things, because it's faster once you know all the commands. But let's look at C. So I'm in C users bsimp, and yours will be a different abbreviation for your computer, depending on whatever user you're logged into in Windows right now. And then documents. So there's a bunch of folders, and then there's a bunch of files that are just in the documents folder. And if I want to see what exists in the documents folder, there's a shortcut I can type, dir, which stands for directory. that lists everything, and you can scroll up and down to look at it. That lists everything that's in this current directory. You're not supposed to, you don't have to memorize where every file and folder in your computer is. But instead of opening an Explorer window and looking, you could just type the shortcut and see, oh yeah, bob.java is in this file. Or, oh, is there any Python? And so, I don't know if there's any Python in here, but you can tell if it's a folder because it will have this label dir out to the side. So Arduino data, this right here, I know it's a folder because it has dir out next to it. A ASCII class, ASCII.class, I know that's not a folder because there's no label that says directory out here. This date and time are the last time that you accessed it or edited it. And then this number, I think, is the size of that file, probably in kilobytes, if I had to guess. We could test that. So ArrayList tester.class is 1113. Let's go see. ArrayList tester.class, how big are you? Yeah, it's in kilobytes. So that's rounding it off to 2 kilobytes, but here it's telling me it's actually 157,197 kilobytes. For the most part, we don't care about the size of the files. But that's what all of this information is. Folders and files. Now, if I want to go to one of these folders, so let's say I want to, why don't we make do I already have a folder called Python? It looks like I don't. So I want to make a folder called Python. There's a shortcut called make directory. It's mkdir. And you just then put a space and type the name of the folder you want to make and hit enter. Now, there's no output. But if you go look, there's now a folder called Python. And if you look at the timestamp, I just created it. If I open the folder, there's nothing in there. Now, if I want to navigate to that folder on the command line, I can type cd for change directory and then Python. If I know the folder that I'm trying to go to is in the folder where I already am, all I have to do is type the name of that folder, and it brings me to that folder. Now, if I want to see if there's anything there, I type dir, and it tells me I'm on drive C. There's a serial number for the drive that we don't care about. Here's the directory, which I'm about to look at, and then there's nothing in it. There's nothing there, 0 files. This ... and that dot means there are 2 directories above me. So documents and bsimp that I can go back to. All right, so let me show you a shortcut to get out of that folder. If I want to go back to the folder I was previously in, I can type cd and then 2 dots, and it brings me back up 1 level to documents. cd 2 dots, now I'm back up to bsimp. cd 2 dots, now I'm back to users. Now what if I want to go straight back to that Python folder, but I don't want to do it 1 folder at a time? Well, I know that the next folder down, or the next folder closer to Python, is bsimp. So I can type that, and then a /, and then just type the name of the next folder, then another /, and type the name of that folder, hit enter, and it brings me all the way there. In fact, you can move to any folder from any other folder if you know the full path name of it. So, let me show you an example. Let me find on C, if I want to go look at old games, Microsoft Flight Simulator, scenery. Here's a bunch of files that this game used. I'm not going to do anything in this folder. But if I want to go to this directory, what I would actually do, instead of typing it all, there's this shortcut in Windows. If I already have this Explorer window up, which does happen sometimes, you can right-click on that folder and copy the address as text. Then, if I go to the command prompt and type cd and then paste, it gives me that entire directory name, starting with the drive, the next folder, the next folder, the next folder. If I didn't copy it, I could still type all that. C:/old games / Microsoft Flight Simulator scenery, and it goes straight to that. So you don't have to go folder by folder and click through things. So that's one reason this is faster. So let me go back to users, bsimp, documents, Python. Now, it seems like maybe that takes a while to type all that, but I bet if you type a little bit fast, I bet getting to this folder by typing that directory is probably faster than going to the Explorer and clicking through all the menus. So that does save a little bit of time. All right, so I've shown you how to go to a folder within a folder. I've shown you how to go back up a level with the 2 dots. You can change folders entirely. You can see what's in the folder with dir. You can make a folder with mkdir hello world. Now there's a folder named hello world. What if you want to make a file? Often, when you're programming, you need a new file to put some source code in. So there's a shortcut for that. And in Windows, it's a little weird how that shortcut works, but you type the word echo. Echo is a program. Actually, all of these shortcuts we're typing, CD for change directory, make directory, or just directory, they're all programs that live on Windows and run when you execute them. So here, Echo is a program that has a lot of different uses, and one of them is you can create a file. You can actually create an empty file by doing this. It's echo, and then a space, and then a greater than sign, and then you type the name of the file you want to create, and you have to attach the file extension. So if I want to do some Python programming, hello_world.py. Every Python source code file has to have .py at the end. If I just wanted it to be a text file that held text, I could do .txt. If it was a picture, we could do JPEG. We're going to mainly be creating Python files, so it needs to the file extension .py. When I do that, there's no output, but if I look at what's in the folder with dir directory, now I can see there's this hello world.py file. And if I wanted to actually type something in, well, first let me show you. If I made a mistake and I wanted to delete that file, you can delete a file with del and then the name of the file. Now if I look, that file is gone. If I want to create it again, echo greater than hello world.py. Okay, now it's there. So now let's say I want to put some Python code in this file. It would be nice if we could just type the name of the file or use some command and open our favorite text editor. In fact, if you have it installed, you can do that. But we're going to have to go install a good text editor first, because Notepad, let me see if this works. So that actually does work. If you type Notepad, because Notepad is the name of this folder, this program on Windows, the really basic text editor. Notepad is actually a horrible text editor to use for programming, because often it will, if word wrap is on, or if it's what's called a rich text file, there's going to be a lot of hidden characters in this file that you don't want to show up when you're programming in Python. So we don't want to use Notepad. And you'll notice this weird echo is on message that's already in the file. That's because I didn't quite use the command to create this file the right way to make it an empty file. So let me delete it and show you the right way to do it. A bunch of middle schoolers are walking by right now. Okay, if I want to delete this file, I can do delete. Now let's do this the right way. Echo, a space, empty quotation marks, then the greater than sign, then hello world.py. Now if we look at it by typing Notepad, space, hello world.py, now we've got an empty file. It's got these quotation marks, but it's got nothing in it, You can delete those. It's a little weird how Windows makes you do this. There's a much easier way on a Mac and Linux, which we'll get to when we do the Mac video. Let me not save that. So let me see if I have this program installed. All right, I don't have, so there's a text editor called Sublime, which is really popular, and it's free and it's open source. You don't have to pay for it. There's another one on Windows that people really love called Notepad++. And so let me show you how to get Notepad++. So we got to go to the internet for this one. And let me see. If you just Google Notepad++, go to that result, Notepad++, and you recognize the plus plus shortcut, right? That's the joke. It's like Notepad, but better. The plus plus. So you go to download. It should just get the latest one. And then try to avoid all of the fake download buttons. Which one's the real one? Oh, that's not it. This is 32-bit. I don't want that one. I want the 64-bit. Most modern computers, if you got them anytime recently, are going to be 64-bit. Integrity download. I think I just want the 64-bit installer. Yeah. And so it'll download a file, and when it finishes downloading the file, install it. I've already got it installed on my computer, so I'm not going to go through that process. Unfortunately, if you have a Mac, Notepad++ does not exist on Mac. There's plenty of other options. It's just Notepad++ is so popular on Windows as a fairly simple, easy way to open source code files that it's not a heavy, big program with all kind of functionality, but it lets you open almost any language's source code file and look at it. And so it's a program that lives on my computer. I can open it just like normal by looking for it. Notepad, see there it is, Notepad++. So I can open it that way, and it always remembers what files you had open. So here it is. There's a bunch of options. File, open. You can do the normal sorts of, like here's a Python file with a bunch of crazy stuff in it. You can use this just like a normal program on your computer. Or you can open it from a command prompt by doing start Notepad++ and then the name of the file that you want to open. But you can't just open any file. So like, let me make a file on my desktop. Text document. And let me name it file1.txt. So that's on the desktop. I can't just type file1.txt and it find it. See, it thinks I'm trying to open a file that's in the current directory where I had navigated to in the command prompt. So if I click no and go back to the command prompt, I have to open a file that already exists and in this directory. And the only one that exists in this directory is hello-world.py. So start Notepad++ hello_world.py. Did I have to do all of that from the command line? No, I did not. I could have opened it just like normal by going to the Explorer and going to, let me see if I can remember where it was, users, bsimp. What was that in? Hello World. I could go to Hello World, wherever that is. Let me sort this by name. Oh, it's under Documents. I was looking for Hello World. See, I'm already in the wrong spot. All right, here's Hello World. Here's hello-world.py. If I double click on that, it doesn't know how to open a .py file. So I could click OK and right-click on it and go to Properties. Let me move this so you can see it. I don't know if you'll be able to see the right-click, Properties is at the bottom of this menu, so I'm going to click on it. You can change what this .py file opens with by going to change right here. And usually the text editors that you have will pop up here. So if I look for Notepad++, oh, I don't see it. So if I look for another app on this PC, I can go find where Notepad++ lives on my computer. Ah, there it is. It's in Program Files, Notepad++. There's the, if you see .exe, that's an executable file. That's usually the program. Like if I double click this, I could run Notepad++. So if I click that, click open, now .py files will always open in Notepad++. And you can change that anytime you want to use some other program. Click apply, click OK. So now if I double click this, it will open in Notepad++. If you want to open files that way, fine. But if you want to be like a real hacker and do things from the command line, you can do it like this. Okay, so you can navigate the folder structure, you can make files using the echo command. You can now, if you installed Notepad++, you can start editing a file just from the command line. So here I am, I want to delete those double quotation marks, say hello world, save it. That's all you got to type in Python. The shortcut to save is Control-S, or you can go click on that disk icon. And then now that I saved it, if I go back to the command prompt and type, on Windows I can just type Python. So there's literally a program named Python that runs, it's actually called interprets. It interprets Python source code files. You don't have to compile Python. There's a difference between C and Python that we don't need to go into, but basically you don't compile Python code. It does something called interpret, which makes there's one less step between you typing some changes, hitting save, and then running the file. You don't have to compile. You just type Python, and then you have to be in the same folder as the file that you want to run. So I'm in Hello World, the folder Hello World, and I see that this file that I want to run is also in this folder. If I wasn't in the correct folder and I tried to run this file, it wouldn't work. So let me show you. If I try to run hello.py, which is not in this folder, it says Python can't open file hello.py, no such file or directory. But if I type the actual hello_world.py, I see that there's a typo. Oh, hello is not a function that is defined in Python. It's called print. I meant to type print there. So let me run that. Hey, it print hello world. What if I want to print that 100 times? I could type for I in range 100, and then indent that, save, go back, press the up arrow to do the last command that I typed in, hit enter. Oh, another typo. It needs a colon. Save, up arrow, enter, hello world 100 times. So if you just did that with me, that's the first time this year that you've actually run a program using your computer and its processor and its memory and your hard drive. All the other coding we've done so far has either been on a website or anytime we were using the CS50 tools, you were actually using a computer. It was just a Linux computer that exists somewhere on a server. So that was a real computer, but it wasn't your computer in front of you. Now, when we code like this, we are coding on your computer using your hardware. So if you have a much more modern computer with a lot of memory and a better processor, your programs will run faster than, for example, mine on this Surface, which is 4 years old. And the other advantage, and the real reason that I'm taking the time to install Python and get everyone's computer working with Python, is that with Python you can control your computer, or you can use things that your computer has, like the microphone or the webcam. And we're going to explore how to do that using some popular packages, which is what Python calls libraries. In C, they're called libraries. In computer science principles, the class, we're going to call them libraries. but specifically in Python, they call a library a package. And that's what we're about to learn how to do. The end.